know Inosuke only killed one demon on screen in the entire series? Even though he fought against a ton of demons in the entire show so far, the only one he's killed was the random demon in the Tizumi mansion. We can't really say for him killing Daki though. This is just one out of the 39 hidden details or Easter eggs we found in Demon Slayer. Inosuke is so sensitive to the point where he could feel people miles away from him from vibrations in the air. This was shown when he used beast-breathing 7th form, spatial awareness, during their fight against the spider demon family. If you haven't noticed, there's something wrong with demons' regenerations and their clothes. You see, when Daki regenerated her legs, her clothes also came with it. And in Season 3, Genya also regenerated his clothes. But another more interesting detail is that Nezuko's clothes didn't. You can clearly see this when she fought against Daki in Season 2, but when fighting Susumaru in Season 1, her clothes did regenerate. Now, this fact spans the entire show. At the start of the series, Inosuke hated Tanjiro and kept picking fights with him. But as the series went on, you'll see little hints like how Inosuke is slowly getting Tanjiro's trust, and he even held Tanjiro's shirt in Season 1. We found an oddly designed character in the Mugen train arc that would make you question why. When Tanjiro and the rest entered the train for a quick moment, we see a side character that literally resembles Nezuko as a human. The character's facial features looked exactly like Nezuko, and she was even wearing a kimono that was identical to Nezuko's. Tengen's two swords are quite enormous. They're almost as big as Tanjiro. Not as big as Tanjiro's weapons, but as big as Tanjiro himself. Despite the size of Tengen's weapons, he is still able to wield them with great efficiency. His swords don't have sheaths either because they are too big. Instead, they are wrapped with cloth and he carries them on his back. The Hashiras are known for how strong they are and sometimes how they can even create breathing techniques that suit their fighting styles. But did you know, other than the Hashiras, Inosuke is the only other character that created his very own breathing technique? That's right, beast breathing was made by Inosuke and we really don't have any idea how he did it. So far, in the entire series, there's only one character that uses a gun, and that's Genya Shinaguzawa. It's even surprising to say that why don't normal demon slayers who aren't as strong as Hashiras use guns? It's a better and more effective way of dealing with demons while not getting injured. On another note, Genya is also the only demon slayer we've seen that can consume demons and to an extent use their abilities, which is another surprising ability that he has. While it's true that Genya can regenerate parts of his body, his regenerative abilities still have limits. When Sakaido attacked him from behind, he said he can't regenerate his head. But when Aizetsu used his spear on him, if you look closely, we can see some part of his face with a hole in it. But he regenerated it after, so is this a mistake from the animators or what? Genya's last name, when written in kanji, actually means immortality or eternal life. I mean, it actually fits him since Genya can regenerate his body even after suffering life-threatening wounds if he is able to eat a demon. Did you know that Zenitsu was assigned a sparrow and not a crow because of his hearing? Zenitsu's hearing is so sensitive that crows actually hurt his ears. Another reason is that Chuntaro, the sparrow, is a perfect fit for Zenitsu for several reasons. When looking at the symbolism in Japanese culture, sparrows represent the soft demeanor of deep thinkers and are often considered to bring good fortune, and Zenitsu's name literally includes the kanji for good. During the Infinity Train movie, we see Rengoku killing 2 demons, but to my surprise, that never actually happened, since the moment their tickets got punched, they were automatically put into Inmu's sleep spell. Another way to notice that is when the conductor came to punch their ticket, we can see the passengers are already asleep. The demons Rengoku killed never actually existed, and those were just a figment of his dreams. Although they weren't real, we still have to thank those demons, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be able to see Rengoku in action. Now we're finished with the easy round. We're going to the medium category, where things get a little harder to spot. Before Tanjiro arrived at his house in Season 1, Episode 1, he discovered something very surprising, and he found out that you're not subscribed to the channel. That made him very, very sad. So please make Tanjiro happy by subscribing. But for real now, getting back to it. Starting off, when Tanjiro was first introduced, his hands were callus-free. But as the series progressed and he underwent his training under Urodaki, we see how Tanjiro worked really hard based on the wounds and calluses he obtained. Not only did Tanjiro's hands evolve, but his scar did too. During the final selection, when Tanjiro confronted the hand demon, it landed a heavy blow on Tanjiro's forehead, and it permanently changed the scar's size and color. It changed even more when he unlocked his Demon Slayer mark when he fought Gyutaro in the Entertainment District arc. While we're talking about Tanjiro, if you were just focusing on the godly animation of the fights, you probably haven't noticed that in Season 3, Tanjiro didn't use a single form of water breathing. He only used the Hinokami Kagura, signifying his growth and how his body has adjusted to his new powerful ability. Also in the Entertainment District arc, if you look close enough, you'll notice Tengen mainly used his left hand when fighting against the upper rank 6 siblings. Probably Gyutaro noticed this, and as the fight progressed, he cut off Tengen's left hand in order to weaken him further. After Tengen, we have to talk about one of his wives, Hinatsuru. This one is really hard to spot, and if you have a bad memory, well, let's just say it's impossible. I noticed that Hinatsuru and Tanjiro's mom almost almost look identical. Could they somehow be related? The resemblance is so uncanny that once you see it, you just can't unsee it anymore. And if you look even closer at Tengen's wives, you'll see that they mimic the main trio, at least in some aspects. Uzui's 3 wives look exactly like the trio: Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu. The only difference is Makio, who looks like Zenitsu, mirrors Inosuke's loud personality, while Suma, who looks like Inosuke, is a crybaby like Zenitsu. And the only one who looks and acts similarly in the group are Tanjiro and Hinatsuru. Another interesting fact is that while Zenitsu is weaker than Tengen, you have to know that sound breathing was actually derived from thunder breathing. Also, just like Zenitsu, Tengen also has superhuman hearing. This is also the only breathing style that uses a lot of explosives, and not explosives that are visualized by the swordsman, but real small throwable bombs. Zenitsu is always out looking for a wife, which is probably due to how his full name is Zenitsu Agatsuma, where Agatsuma means my wife. This is a small hint as to why that is the exact personality Zenitsu has in the show. Only 4 out of the 9 Hashiras use the standard Nichiren blade. Yome uses a flail and axe. Mitsuri's sword is like a ribbon. Obanai's sword is curvy. Tengen has those massive 2 blades, and Shinobu has her piercing sword. The only ones that use the standard Nichiren blades are Rengoku, Giyu, Muichiro, and Saname. Since we mentioned Giyu, have you ever wondered why his Haori has 2 different patterns? One is a solid dark red, while the other has a geometric pattern. This is because it's to honor the 2 people he has become closest with. The solid dark red half was worn by his older sister, and the geometric half was worn by Sabito. This is perhaps one of the most confusing questions we had in the Swordsmith Village arc. You see, the Swordsmith Village is kept so secret, and I mean so secret, that the Kikuchi who go there have to switch, and they even have to have their crows switch as well. But the question is, how did Gyoko and Hantengu manage to find it? It wasn't properly explained, so who knows? And if you paid attention to the anime, you would notice that the insults Gyutaro told Tanjiro, "Sad sack, coward, good for nothing," were the exact same words people used to tell him when he was still a human. Also, the reason for Gyutaro's really skinny waist was that he really had nothing to eat back when he was still a human. Gyutaro was forced to eat insects and basically anything he could get his hands on, making him severely malnourished. Another interesting thing I noticed while watching the Swordsmith Village arc was Hantengu and how he wasn't really affected by the sun. When the sun rose up, Nezuko instantly got burned, but Hantengu didn't seem to care at all. It's another plot hole that made me scratch my head. Or should I say, the burning is so slow, but demons burn so fast under the smallest ray of sun. Have you ever noticed that from the very beginning, Muichiro is wearing a baggy outfit? Well, the reason for this is actually because of his breathing technique. Muichiro wears loose and oversized clothes in order to disorient enemies, as they would not be able to see his limbs and joints moving so well. This is supposed to hinder their ability to predict Muichiro's movements. Now, we are of the hard part, so sit still and watch. This one is also a bit over the top, but I have to give props to myself on how I spotted it. In the scene where Enmu was revealed, we see his eyes. Now, an Easter egg was actually hidden in his eye, since the creator of Demon Slayer likes to reference other animes with his work. If we look close enough, we can see how one of Enmu's eyes resembled Naruto's eyes whenever he entered Sage mode. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but this is definitely a neat Easter egg. Apart from getting names wrong most of the time, it seems that Inosuke was right about one thing. He actually foreshadowed what was going to happen in the Mugen Train arc. In a way, when Inosuke said that the train was alive, it was somehow foreshadowing that later in the movie, Enmu would incorporate his body into the vehicle to eat all of the people inside. Who knew he would be a fortune teller? Now, we all know about the theory that those who die in the series face right and those who survive face left. Well, this is actually a very minute detail during the opening of the Entertainment District arc, because we all see Tengen facing to the left side with Tanjiro, but what many might fail to notice is that his left arm was actually extended to the right side of the screen. Maybe it's to show that although Uzui will survive, he will lose his left arm in the process. Now, we all know that at the beginning of the episode when Tanjiro was supposed to visit the Swordsmith Village, he was told that he has to wear a blindfold and nose stuffing so that he wouldn't know the location of the village, and that the village would remain hidden to everyone in order to protect the swordsmiths that aid the Demon Slayers in their quest to defeat the demons. It was said that not even the Hashiras know the location of where the village is, in case they were ever caught and tortured by Muzan. So, just how did Mitsuri find the village in time? Was it because her crow knew the way, or did someone guide her towards the village? To this day, no one knows. Another question that's been boggling my mind is something about Urodaki. Tanjiro's mentor seems off, and I realized that we never get to see his face. I looked around and found out that the reason why he wears his Tengu mask was because back in the day when he was still a Hashira, demons would tease him for how kind and gentle his face was. He may have had his insecurities, but why does he still wear it, especially now that he's retired? In the opening of Demon Slayer Season 3, we see a quick animation in which Muichiro was sparring with the Yoriichi Type 0, and Muichiro's sword broke upon blocking the doll's attack. This is important because in the episode and in the manga, the scene where Muichiro's sword broke was never shown, and it was only mentioned. mentioned. Uradakai also has another mystery up his sleeve. In order for Nezuko to not turn into a wild beast and start attacking and eating humans, Uradakai used a mysterious hypnosis technique that made her think that all humans are her family back in season 1. But no one, not even the author, ever explained how exactly he did it. If such a technique existed, why wasn't it used to tame other demons? Well, it might be a rare skill because did you know how long it took for him to hypnotize Nezuko? For 2 whole years while Nezuko was asleep, Uradakai hypnotized her into thinking that she should never eat or attack any humans as they are family and she has to protect them at all costs. As shown in the series, Uradakai's efforts were not in vain because Nezuko indeed did her best to avoid hurting a human. However, how he did it still remains a mystery to this day. Also, the series, or at least the producers, have really good timing in making sure what happens in each episode. If you take a step back and take a good look at the entire anime series so far, you'll notice that in episode 7 of every season, something big is always revealed. For example, in episode 7 of season 1, we saw Muzan for the very first time. In episode 7 of season 2, we saw Gyutaro. And in season 3, episode 7, we saw Zohakuten and Hotaru Haga Nezuka's face. There's also something interesting going on between Rengoku and Tengen. It's their eyes. In both their fights, Tengen and Rengoku were wounded in their left eyes. So is this a coincidence or a reference to something much more horrific farther into the series? The only difference between these two is that Tengen only lost an arm while Rengoku became a donut. Now this one, I was going crazy for because I can't believe I didn't notice it the first time I was watching it. Remember in season 1 how Sabito and Makomo were helping Tanjiro train on how to cut the boulder? Well, there are some scenes where Sabito just beats the hell out of Tanjiro. Now you might be thinking nothing's wrong with that, but remember that Sabito is a ghost. So the question still remains, how was Sabito able to hurt Tanjiro? This is one plot hole that the author probably just missed. Another thing you probably didn't pay attention to was Tanjiro's earrings. Sure, we know that Tanjiro and Yoriichi had the same earrings, and that was noticed by Muzan, but what we didn't realize was that Tanjiro and the Yoriichi Type 0 Dao also have the same earrings. Not only that, not a single character pointed this out. Muichiro and Kotetsu failed to notice this, and even Tanjiro himself didn't say a word. Lastly, and perhaps the hardest to spot, is this one. In the Mugen Train arc, when the kids who were being manipulated by Enmu tried to attack the souls of the Demon Slayers, we get this scene where we are in Tanjiro's consciousness, and it's all blue skies with mirror-like water that reflects it. But this is actually the same setting as the final frames of Tokyo Ghoul's first OP called Unravel, where Kaneki is sitting on a chair. It's very hard to spot if you don't have enough anime knowledge, and that's why this is number 1 on our list. Well, Tanjiro is so kind-hearted, but what if he spared Hantengu and let him go because of how he was pleading for his life? Well, click on this video to see what will happen if he didn't kill Hantengu. Arigato gozaimasu!